Hello YouTube, my name is Unger to the Max. This is the first of 2 videos in a row, so I hope you enjoy. And I hope you all are staying safe, and I hope you all are staying healthy. So, I saw an interesting discussion on ESPN First Take today. They were talking about the 49ers, and obviously, San Francisco made it to the Super Bowl. And they were up 20-10, but then Kyle Shanahan, famously known for 28-3, decided, I'm going to choke away a second Super Bowl. And, Kansas City ended up coming back and winning, which I purchased the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl 54 Champions film, not because I'm a Chiefs fan, but because before the playoffs started, I decided that since it was the 100th season for the NFL, as long as the San Francisco 49ers and New England Patriots did not win the Super Bowl. I repeat, as long as San Francisco and New England did not win the Super Bowl, I was going to purchase the Super Bowl 54 Champions film. Even if Baltimore won it, or Houston, Kansas City, Green Bay. I definitely would have if Seattle had won. Buffalo, if they had somehow won, or, Anyway, so the discussion on First Take was, is Jimmy Garoppolo getting too much of the blame for the Super Bowl 54 meltdown? And I would say, yes, he is. Because it wasn't him who was calling these plays that weren't working. It was his head coach, Kyle Shanahan. I mean, think about what got you to the Super Bowl, San Francisco. What was it? Your run game and your defense. I mean, if I remember correctly, in the NFC Championship game where you put a second beatdown on Green Bay, the 49ers only had Jimmy G throw the ball a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times. And you come out, establish the run game early, and it was working. I mean, there were a couple reversals that worked early. There were some big lanes that opened that were created by the offensive line, and the running backs like Raheem Mostert took full advantage of those. But then, in the middle of the third quarter, it was like Kyle Shanahan decided, no, I want to go away from what was working and go to the passing game? Wait, what? What? It was working. You were beating Patrick Mahomes. You were holding that Kansas City offense in check. And San Francisco's defense was creating havoc on Kansas City's offensive line and making Patrick Mahomes feel uncomfortable. He threw 2 interceptions. But what happens? Instead of sticking to your identity and running the hell out of the ball, you decide, nope, I'm going to use Jimmy Garoppolo as a passer. Now, I get he's a quarterback, and quarterbacks should be able to throw the ball. But again, your team isn't built to pass the ball. It's just not. I mean, yeah, you had the amazing play by George Kittle in New Orleans, and that was a great throw by Jimmy Garoppolo. But still, and Garoppolo had to throw the ball in order to keep pace with Drew Brees and the New Orleans offense. I get it. But still, San Francisco built their identity on running the ball. Like I said earlier, Jimmy G in the NFC Championship against Green Bay only threw the ball 8 times. What? So why'd you go away from it in the biggest game of the season? You could see San Francisco players were visibly frustrated. Like, what are we doing? Why are we passing the ball? We're by passing the ball, San Francisco was consistently doing 4 and outs, meaning their defense had to go back on the field after getting a very limited rest and have to face that Kansas City offense, which, they started to find their groove. And did Kyle Shanahan adjust? No! So, in total, is Jimmy G the biggest reason San Francisco lost? No, it was Kyle Shanahan. Go back to Super Bowl 51, all right? Falcons are up 28-3. Of course, we all know how that happened. But instead of running the ball, which I know Atlanta wasn't, well known for their running game that season, but they had a good running game with Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. And instead of running the ball to, bleed the clock down and possibly pick up first yards and keep New England's defense on the field longer, which would have meant that New England's offense, specifically Tom Brady, would have been on the sidelines longer, you come out passing the ball. Huh, sounds familiar. Oh, wait, because I talked about that exact thing with Super Bowl 54, only the reverse. Because, again, with Super Bowl 54, Shanahan should have kept running the ball instead of throwing it. With Super Bowl 51, he should have stayed with the run game instead of going back to the passing game. Even though the passing game was working earlier, you should have switched and gone to the run game, which again would have allowed you to bleed out the clock. You could have kicked a field goal, gone up, I think it was either 31-3 at that point, or it was would have been 31-10. And you could have prevented New England from having the greatest comeback in the history of the Super Bowl. And you wouldn't have to deal with these 28-3 jokes. But no! You decided, nah, we're going to pass the ball and allow New England to come back on the field. And, Tom Brady came up clutch, as he always seems to do, and led the Patriots on a 28-3 comeback. Now, of course, that was aided by Julian Edelman's amazing catch, where it looked like the ball was about to hit the ground. Edelman sticks out his hands, and the ball somehow just falls into them. I don't know how. And like I said, there were some stupid decisions by Kyle Shanahan and Matt Ryan, honestly. There were some throws in that game that Matt Ryan should not have made, but he tried to force them anyway. And, yeah. So, Matt Ryan was named Super Bowl MVP that season. But did he win the Super Bowl? No. Did you know that the MVP of the league has never won the Super Bowl? Never. Cam Newton, he won the MVP. What happened? He got absolutely beaten, bruised, battered by that Denver Broncos defense. I'm actually thinking about buying that Broncos Super Bowl championship film because it was Super Bowl 50. Not because I'm a Broncos fan, but I like watching that type of film because it was, it was Super Bowl 50. Just like the reason I bought Kansas City's Super Bowl film was because it was the 100th season. But like I said, at the beginning of the playoffs, I established that whoever won the Super Bowl, I was going to buy the championship film as long as it was not the San Francisco 49ers and as long as it was not the New England Patriots.